Hello my fellow dragons and welcome back to my channel where the dragons gather. I apologise so profusely for not having a video out last week for the few people that actually watched me. I was sick for a very long time and I only just got my voice back. It's the first time I have been able to speak into a microphone without sounding like a hamster on helium. It's been fun, especially as my husband likes to take the mick. Anyway, back to my Aspiration Muses sim, and here you can see I am making my werewolf Aspiration sim. I cannot lie, I actually really quite enjoyed this one. I thought she was going to be more of a struggle to do because I was like, well, what on earth, what's a werewolf? What does a werewolf look like? What does a werewolf wear? Where do I find these werewolves to ask them what their entire fashion they're into? That was just like, I really thought I was going to have some problems with this one, but I actually really enjoyed it. She came out looking really good, and again that is down to the massive amount of amazing creators that are out there on Creator Sim. And I'm not saying that the people that make the stuff for The Sims 4 aren't amazing, but it just meant that I could really stretch my imagination and try different outfits for her, like this little top with a little fur trim around the top and the beige. I usually steer away from beige, but with her I felt it looked like a sort of like a wolf's coat kind of color, and they wouldn't want to be like bright colors that I normally choose. So again, it kind of pushed me out my comfort zone a little bit, which is quite fun. And I did think about using this medieval coat because it had fur as well. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not into fur in general normally, and when I play with it on The Sims, I tend to assume that it's like faux fur and not real. That's for my own peace of mind. It's a game, I know, but I still like to think that my Sims are being ethical. You know, I don't like to think that she's basically shaving herself when she's a werewolf and I'm like applying it to her clothes. I feel that's a bit weird. So I don't know why I went down that rant. I think my brain might not have fully recovered from being sick. But anyway, that's I kind of wanted a little bit of fur here and there as just like a nod to the fact that she's a werewolf without going over the top, like literally covering her in a Wookiee outfit. It felt too easy to just go down the route of using like white and silver and cream as sort of like a representation of the moon. So I have tried to go down the more earthy tones of like browns and beiges to represent her fur even when she's in human form. Something like that makes her feel most comfortable. I also found this hairstyle that's like, I guess you call it ombre. I don't really know, but it's like blonde on the top and like red at the bottom. And I love that representation of like blood and like the beast within herself. I loved the idea that that was like her hinting at her two different sides with the two different hair tone colours. So you'll see me use that a lot in this particular sim. I was about to say build, she's not a build, she's a sim. I, again, have not actually changed much about her features. Normally when I get a sim in a creator sim from Muse, I just use a sim that's default that's given to me and then build up from there, just changing their hairstyles, maybe changing their eye colour for the ones that I've got under face paint, which are more sort of realistic alpha kind of eye colours, and that's usually about it. And then just changing their outfits to fit what I want. With her, I actually feel like her face is kind of woven to begin with, or almost vulpine, sort of like foxish, in the fact that it's got those really delicate, sharp features, which is so beautiful. And I really think that helped me with making her what I wanted her to be. I think if I'd had someone with some more softer, beautiful sort of features, I might have struggled a little bit more. But there's something about her, maybe it's the eyebrows, that just sort of really screamed to me that she's sort of like not up to something, but certainly mischievous, maybe hiding the secret that she isn't in fact entirely human. And I quite like that. I like the idea that this is an inside joke she has against the world, that she knows she's not entirely human, but no one else can prove it. No one else really knows. Oh, I love that necklace, by the way, that came from the lady from Regina Raven. Sorry, it's been a while. Again, I think it's meant to be for like a vampire, but I did consider it because that little nod to like ripping out throats. You know, this is why my channel's being shadow banned. No one's going to see this at all because like YouTube's going to be like, you're being violent. Like, I'm just describing the aesthetic. But yeah, just that idea that it was like a throat being ripped out or blood dripping down, and just this other sort of like inside joke with like the rubies and stuff like that. I really loved that as well. But I didn't use it, but I did love it. And again, you can see I'm using that sort of white and red hair for that little nod at who she is. Of course, I picked a dress that has the moon on it. I can't help myself. It wasn't a full moon. It's a crescent moon. Again, it's just those little nods, those little winks at the audience that I just wanted to put in there. Just sort of these little hints at who she really is. You know, that I think is just indicative of what I think her personality would be. I also just love that style dress. And the gloves are actually Regina Raven, whereas the dress is Sifix. And I do love the way those two pieces came together and just look so gorgeous. It just kismet, I guess, if I'm using that word correctly. I have no idea. But yeah, it was just meant to be. Of the volume of that hairstyle. I wish I had hair with that kind of volume. I do not, but I wish I did. And I couldn't help it. I chose that one because it looked gorgeous. And I think I also, again, maybe chose a motif, even not a motif, for her crown. I can't remember. I did record this one a while ago before I got sick. And now I'm just desperately trying to remember what I chose. You might be thinking, well, why don't you just watch it back and write yourself a script? But I have found when I do that, I sound like a robot and I don't sound human, and I are a lot more when I do that. I don't know why. I feel like I'm better when I'm just talking at what I can see. Oh, this is where I realised that her wolf form was wearing clothes, and there's no problem with that, but it just didn't really fit with the idea that this is sort of like a hidden identity. Having her wear the same clothes when she's a werewolf as when she's human just doesn't fit. She also has a moon tattoo. I couldn't help myself. So here they are, the completed outfits. Again, just lots of the same sort of tones I've already expressed. Ripped, I like the ripped stockings, I'm sorry. It just fit with that idea of her being animalistic. So yeah, that's it. That's this sim. I'm sorry it's a bit rambly video. I'm getting back into it after a long break and my brain is just not where it should be, I'm afraid. But thank you so much for sticking it out anyway. And I do appreciate your views and the fact that you've bothered to even waste your time with me today. So take care, my fellow dragons, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye, my darlings.